Okay, this is Sandy Jones. I'm continuing. After high school, I went to a Polytechnic Institute. It's a university now, downtown, called Ryerson. I took business. I got a 3-year business diploma there. I used to lie to everybody and say I had a degree because I felt that I was justified in doing this because it was a very hard course. Other universities gave degrees in 3 years, and this one was 4-year course. You had to work a year in between. When I started working, I was doing very well and making a lot of money, and last thing I wanted was to go back to school. So I always told everyone I had a degree, and I never did. I'm a liar. I've been a liar my whole life. I'm facing a lot of that now, and coming clean with a lot of the lies that I've lived with and told. I'm quite exhausted, and coming to more of a peaceful I don't care, not a painful, angry I don't care. I don't care as much now, nearly as much what someone would say or think of me. It's all okay. It has to be let go, and it has to start somewhere. So if I can be of use to this world, and by being one vote for equal money, and if that means that I go through this process of self-discovery, of shutting down the mind consciousness systems, it's all I want to do. It's the only thing that's really made a lot of sense to me in my life. So I'm just so happy to do that, very happy to do that for equal money in our beautiful world. So I went to Ryerson, and I dated a very just a negative man in so many ways. He was handsome, so that got me. He was handsome and smart. And this was the early 80s, and we partied and did lots of stuff. Was it fun? My self-esteem was so low, really. I really needed to drink and party to be comfortable, a lot of things. Anyway, this man was very abusive to me emotionally, and it was not a happy time for me. I didn't really make any friends in university. I just went out with him. And but when I graduated, I got a really good job, which was great, in the business world. I jumped right into that role. I loved it because I moved home only for 6 months, and I had enough money to move out. So I was independent. I could buy a car. I felt quite good about myself. I felt like my feet were on the floor. I didn't have that much compassion at that time of my life, I don't think. But I was testing the waters in my intelligence, and I was in sales, and I guess I was a good talker, and I did very well for a number of years. I think I was with that company for about 2.5 years, and then I had a few other sales jobs before I had my daughter. So I was in sales for probably 6 years, 5, 6 years. Yeah. So when I was working, I met a man that I was to eventually marry. And it's kind of difficult doing these interviews thinking that they might, because it's public on YouTube, that they might hear it. So I'd like to be respectful of people. Actually, I am more now. So the man that I married, he's a good guy. He continues to be a good guy in many, many, many ways. And I would say he was a good friend. We had a lot of fun together. He wasn't the greatest husband, in that role, and he proved to be a good father to the kids, and is today. He also paid child support when our marriage broke up, and I'm very grateful for that. It helped me a lot. So sorry, I'm a little lost. So when I was working, I met my future husband, and we had fun and dated. We got married. I got pregnant a few years later. We had my daughter. So when we had my daughter, I decided to stay home a decision that I've always regretted. I don't regret it now, but I did regret it. And I do tell young women now, I think it's better if they continue to work. I think it's probably safer for a woman or a man. It was difficult when the marriage, so we had another child, my son, a couple of years after Jacqueline. And when the marriage broke up, I was not, there was no money, unfortunately. So basically, it wasn't good. He left the kids and I pretty penniless, except for furniture and stuff in the house. There was household stuff. I didn't own the house anymore. I didn't have any savings anymore. It was all gone. And I hadn't been working. I also mentally wasn't prepared for a breakup in a marriage. I want to see how much time has gone by here. Like I said, now I'm getting blind. Perhaps that's something that can be fixed with destiny over time, over a number of years, perhaps. So I'll just say it. So what happened was, I think that more than love this man that was my husband, I obsessed him. I always obsessed men. And I took one obsession to another, and I was very brokenhearted. I started writing music, and I prayed to God to help me because I was so devastated. I didn't know how I would take care of the kids. And what happened was I received music in my head, so I thought, oh, I'm supposed to write this music. This is God talking to me. And is it important, and aren't I important? I'm supposed to write music. So being the kind of personality I had, I then put everything into that and put so much into writing music. But then lo and behold, of course, out there in the big world, don't you know, there's a handsome musician that I could fall madly in love with. I obsessed the guy. So I switched my obsession from my husband to this musician and writing music. And now I also took care of my children. I did try going back to work full-time for a year, but it didn't work out. I was fired eventually for being late too many times, and that was fine with me. I remember the day. That was their last straw, and I was late, and my son was really upset about something, and we stayed together until he felt better, and that was fine with me when they fired me. I was frightened for that money, but daycare was also extremely expensive. Crazy. So anyway, I actually started a daycare in my home, and that worked out very well and paid very well. And I wrote music, did my best to record and do a tiny bit of marketing. It's very difficult, it's expensive. And like I said, I would receive music, I would hear music in my head. I just copied it really, the music from my head, onto a tape recorder, and then figured out chords and played a little bit of guitar, a little bit of piano. And what happened was, I thought I was receiving, this information from God. This was my calling, was to write music. I just hadn't heard the calling before, and I listened to the messages from my head, and in fact found that they were quite inspirational, interesting. Little did I know that thank God for destiny, because now I understand what a lot of that was. So I'm going to continue in the next video.